Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is not pleased with Ben & Jerry's over its decision to no longer sell ice cream in the occupied West Bank. Of course, this has to do with the way the Israeli government has been treating Palestinians and continues to build settlements in areas that the international community considers to be that runs counter to what the international community agrees with, right? So Israel is occupying parts of the West Bank that it should not be occupying. So Ben & Jerry's makes its decision. They don't want to sell ice cream in that area anymore. There was all sorts of backlash toward Ben & Jerry by right-wingers in America. And now we're hearing from Ron DeSantis, who wrote a strongly worded letter about this and has put Ben & Jerry's on a list. It is on a list. So let me give you the details. In a letter to the State Board of Administration of Florida, DeSantis urged the agency to place Ben & Jerry's on its continued examination companies that boycott Israel list. Cool. So here's what he wrote in the letter. He argues that Florida has long had a strong relationship with the state of Israel. As a matter of law and principle, the state of Florida does not tolerate discrimination against the state of Israel or the Israeli people. So let's just pause for a second. Ben & Jerry's making a decision to no longer sell ice cream in the West Bank over Israel's occupation of that area is political speech, and it's not discrimination. I mean, to say that that's discrimination is ridiculous. They're still selling ice cream in other parts of Israel, right?
Yeah, so let me just say two things. I know we're gonna continue with that quote, but one, there is a little bit of irony here that now Ben & Jerry's ice cream is great, they're wonderful progressives, and other people in West Bank can't get it, but they still sell it in Israel. So they should, in my opinion, they should stop selling it all over Israel. But that's a very peripheral to this story, because the question here is freedom of speech in America, and the right wingers hate it, and they say but think about how absurd that is. If you are disloyal to a different nation, in their opinion, you're gonna get banned in Florida. It's so beyond insane. And they say, oh, it's discrimination against the Israeli people. Other than the fact that it makes no sense, think about it if it was applied to South Africa, to say, oh, you're doing a boycott and divestment of South Africa? That is discrimination against the poor white people of South Africa, right? And so we here in Florida will ban any speech that is against the good white people of South Africa. We find it to be discrimination. I would hope that would be outrageous, but these days with Republicans, I don't know if they would think that was outrageous.
Well,
right?
What I think is outrageous is that we have constitutional protections that allow us to engage in political speech. And in this case, whether it's BDS or the decision that Ben & Jerry's made, it is political speech. To have the government punish you for that political speech is literally unconstitutional. Yet this has been going on for how long now? It's been a few years that this has been going on, and somehow all of these free speech warriors on the right who whine and cry about Ben Shapiro and Ann Coulter being protested on the campus of Berkeley, now all of a sudden think like free speech ain't that important because this is speech we don't like, so we have no interest in protecting it. I mean, it just shows you the hypocrisy, of course, but it also shows you that, if you're not paying attention, your constitutional rights will get violated, and there's people who refuse to even fight for you on this, right? Like, I might not agree with the BDS movement. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. We're supposed to have constitutional protections for our political speech, for our press. And in this case, there's literal punishment being lodged toward Ben & Jerry's over their political speech and their business decisions that are informed by that political speech. With that said, basically what he's saying, I'm not gonna read his dorky ass letter. He's basically saying, no, we're maybe the state of Florida, maybe we're not gonna invest in Ben & Jerry's and Unilever anymore. Maybe we're not gonna do that. Okay, don't do it then.
Right.
And then shut up.
I got you, but it actually does have political ramifications and financial ramifications. Because Ben & Jerry's is a mid-sized company, the parent company that at one point bought it from Ben Cohen and Jerry, of course, and is Unilever, and that's a giant company. So if Unilever thinks, oh, this is gonna cost us a lot of money because Florida's a big state, right? It's gonna apply political pressure to bow their heads and say, We don't care what war crimes are being committed or what the entire international community says, and we don't care what laws the right-wing government of Israel is breaking. We submit for our own economic interests. We will not allow any of our brands to protest the right-wing government of Israel.
I think it would be far better if they decided to maybe put aside some of that legalized bribery money for a legal defense, because what Ron DeSantis is threatening to do here is unconstitutional. Again, what he's threatening to do is punish political speech. And I mean, look, how is this okay? How is this okay? Remember the story we did about the teacher in Texas who was part of the BDS movement? She did not get her contract renewed because of the fact that she's part of the BDS movement. She was a public school teacher, by the way, so she got punished by the local government for her political speech and her political views. How is that constitutional?
Could you imagine if they did it for like any other government? But let's pick a government that they don't like. They said, now if anybody criticizes Iran, they will be punished in Florida.
It's absurd.
You'd be like, wait, that's insane, right? But wait a minute, let's take an ally, right? If anyone dares criticize or boycott Saudi Arabia and Florida, they will be punished, and they will be financially, further punished, and there will be actual legal ramifications in the state of Florida if you ever dare oppose the Saudi government. But the Saudis are allies, just like Israel is. Doesn't it sound absurd when it's any other country? But we've all gotten used to, oh, well, no, America is supposed to serve Israel, not, they're not an ally, they're our boss. That's ridiculous. By the way, doing that feeds into anti-Semitism. You're making it worse. And so, and they're all giant hypocrites. First of all, by the way, the people doing this, Ben Cohen is Jewish, okay? So he's being wonderful and principled, and he's a great progressive, and you should reward Ben and Jerry's for their courage here, right? But this is the genesis of cancel culture. Did you guys know that? Cancel culture started with the right wing attacking any professor on campus who had what they considered a pro-Palestinian position. Oh, you want freedom for Palestinians? You want to end the occupation and their imprisonment? That's it, fire them, make sure they're not allowed to talk to students. That's how cancel culture started, with the right wing on this issue. And now they made it into a law in Florida. They are cancel culture. Yep. So if look, just ask any right wingers, ask Ben Shapiro. You say you're in favor of free speech. Are you in favor of the most outrageous anti-free speech law in America? And his answer is, oh, if it's for Israel, I was just lying about my principles. Principles, I don't believe in any stinking principles. No, I just care about power. Don't let them ever say anything against our position. And then if they ever criticize us, go, oh, cancel culture, they criticize me, I'm the victim. Victim my ass. You guys hate free speech and you hate America.
Yeah, look, these actions need to be challenged. The ACLU has released a statement about this, and of course they find it unconstitutional and wrong. But look, I mean, I think Ben and Jerry should, allow Ron DeSantis to try to do what he's claiming he's gonna do, because people are addicted to Ben and Jerry's, man. Like, I don't know how to quit you. Like, I just don't. I've tried. Every time I try, I fail. I'm not gonna buy Ben and Jerry's anymore. It's not good for me, right? I shouldn't be binging on Ben and Jerry's at night right before I go to sleep. But then every single time I go to the grocery store, you pick up that pint of Netflix and chilled. You gotta pick it up.
That's funny.
Peanut butter ice cream, salty pretzels, it's delicious.
By the way, as I think you could tell, I was blanking on Jerry's last name, Jerry Greenfield. And they're both wonderful progressives and wonderful Americans who care about progressive principles more than ethnicity or anything along those lines. So they are the best of us, and I love that they're doing this. And in the meanwhile, in a sense, a side effect is exposing the hypocrisy of Ron DeSantis and all of these right wingers.
Yeah, that's a great point. Do you have a favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor?
Yeah. I love the peanut butter cup one. I love Chunky Monkey.
Okay.
And yeah, so I can go on and on.
Last week, Happy Half Hour did like a contest of Ben and Jerry's flavors. Netflix and chilled, my personal fave, didn't win. But you gotta watch Happy Half Hour on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TYT, to find out who won.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.